Essentially, I am, as Donna's already outlined, I am a teacher at Foyle College. I specifically teach French and Spanish, but I'm also the IT coordinator as well. So I'm going to have a quick run through. Brilliant, thank you. I'm going to have a quick run through just how I've started to use this new-ish feature of classwork within Teams. Genuinely haven't been operating it all that long. It's probably just over a month that I've started to play around with it, but the usability is pretty good. It's something for quite a few years. I've been chipping away and harping on at Microsoft to see if they could have something there. So myself and a few other teachers have been sort of requesting some of these features. So it's great to finally see it. So I am now going to share my screen just so hopefully you can get a quick rundown of what it is. Like Donna said, we're going to have plenty of time to kind of discuss or pick apart any issues that you have, any questions you've got throughout it. Just drop stuff into the chat and we'll see how we go. So I'm within the new Microsoft Teams at the moment, and we're looking at one of the classes that I'm sort of prepping for next year. And specifically what I'm going to be looking at is this feature here, the classwork feature. So classwork is, like I said, it's a new-ish feature. It's within Microsoft Teams for Education, and it's basically a one-stop shop where you can manage your class and all of your curriculum resources. So the point of it, it's essentially there to streamline your lesson planning process, to streamline that process of getting resources to students and then back and forth as well. It just organizes everything together. Essentially, it's a centralized resource management. So what it allows you to do is what we're going to see shortly is that it allows you to create and organizing everything together in this thing called modules. That can include assignments or homework tasks. It can include importing notebook pages from OneNote or even full sections from OneNote. You can add in web links, you can add in files, any different sort, and you can even add in what would be the traditional Teams channels down here if you want it as a sort of a message or a chat feed. So aim today is to give you a brief overview to see sort of this setup of the classwork feature. We'll go through how you can create your own module from scratch. We'll see how you can add content to that, be it brand new content or stuff that you already have created elsewhere. And then finally, going through the process of how do you publish that so it's available to your students. And then how can we pin a module, as in the one we're working on at the moment. A couple of added real plus features we'll see as well is the idea of how you can reuse a module, as in once you've created a module, it's not, if I want to do it in another class, I have to recreate it. No, you just reuse the stuff you've already created. And then right at the end, probably with a little bit of input from Donna as well, we're going to see what will hopefully be rolled out to us over the next few months is how actually we can use AI to build these modules or this aspect from Teams. So something I've been chasing for quite a while. Looking for this feature, it would be for me one of the big benefits that Google Classroom would have had over Teams. It's the fact that you can reuse and recreate your resources. The big benefit now is that you can now do this within Microsoft Teams. The added benefit of Microsoft Teams is that actually it all opens within Teams. It's all within this one platform, whereas in Google Classroom, if you click on a link, if you click on a resource, it will tend to open it externally within Teams. For the most part, it will actually open it within Teams. So it makes it more readily accessible, much more ease of access for us and for the students. So I'm going to showcase one that I've got running at the minute. So this is our kind of module creation area. Tapped into classwork here, and as you can see, this is one that I'm working on for next year. It's for my year 8 French team, and I've got the majority of my modules up and ready to go. Essentially what it looks like is, I'll focus on one in particular. Here's my opening module to let you see of some of the different things that you can include here within it. So just within this module alone, I've got a personalized welcome video. I've got a video from an external link, sort of to give the students an overview of our core vocabulary. I've got our booklets themselves here that the students can access, either in Word document form or as in PDF, and then plus a handful of other links and files as well. I'm going to explore these individually in just a little bit. It's more just to kind of give you an overview of how this looks, but we've got a range of different things that we can include. And you can pick apart as much or as little as you want, but that's essentially how it looks. Like I said, the big plus for this is that everything is grouped into one place. It's then if I'm cycling this across to different classes into different years, I just have the option that I can then choose to reuse this, which I'm going to show you in a little bit. All right. Option as we're going through, as you can see, I've got all of this in draft mode at the moment. That means that it's not being published to anyone. The only person who can see this for the moment is me. The option then at the end of this is that I can choose to publish this, which I will do shortly. But then it means it's live for everyone, so they get full access to see everything that goes with it. So as a rough idea, you've seen kind of how it looks. We can add in different files, different sections to it. You can divide it up into different groupings. It's pretty much your own curriculum modules there that you can customize to whatever way that suits you. But the big thing that we're going to look is just to see how simple and how straightforward it is that we can build or we can create our own module. So as a starting point, let's see how this runs. So it's dead easy. Within Classwork, down to the very bottom, I've got the option of add module. I click on that. As I've said before, the option of reuse. So if I've got a module here that I have existed or I've used in a previous year with another class, I could simply tap the reuse option and it will give me an option to find the class, find the module, and I just bring it in. For the moment though, I'm going to make it a little bit more straightforward as if we're doing it from scratch, and I'm going to create a new module. So for my list breakdown there, we can see that module 8.5 is missing. So I'm going to just create that now. So I tap on that, it opens up, dead easy. I choose the module name that I want. One little issue that I found with this at the moment is you're limited with the characters that you can use. So for example, if I want to call it 8.5 and I do a dot, I'm going to get this error message on the side that you have to use specific characters there. So these are the characters, I'm not sure if you can see it, that are unavailable for the moment. Hopefully it's something that Microsoft can work on to change. Can be a little bit annoying as well. If I am as a languages teacher, if I want to create a module and I want to create it in a different language, but what I'm typing has an accent, it's not as easy to do. I can do it on my desktop because I've got the number pad and I can use the short code for that. On my Surface Pro, it doesn't let me do it, which is a bit frustrating at the moment, but I'm going to add it in. So it's 8.5 and I'll call it something nice and easy, chez moi, around my house. What I can then do is add in a brief description. In its module, we will talk about where we live. Excuse my awful spelling. All right. Once I'm happy enough with how I've it set, what I can do if I want, I can make it a bit more interesting. I can turn this into bold. I can play around with the font, etc. If I wish, I've got the option of differing the font. I can highlight. I can change the font color, all of that. If I even wish, I've got the option where I can include a link just to make it a little bit more customized. I won't do it here just to keep it simplistic, but that is dead easy how we can create our module. So if I do that, it will suddenly publish it here. Now, if you are, as we are as teachers, most of us tend to be quite high maintenance, and we've always just inbuilt into this little bit of OCD. It's not quite in the sequence order that I would like. It should be 8.4, then 8.5. If I want to rearrange the order, it's dead easy. I simply left click and I drag and I sort this to wherever I want. In a little bit, I'm going to show you an additional feature, what you can do with that, which will be the pin option. That pin to the top is not yet available because I'm currently still in draft mode. But while I'm in draft mode, even when I'm not in draft mode, I have got the luxury that I can just rotate these around wherever I want. Okay, so the next thing we look at is our adding of resources. So you can create new resources. You can add existing resources that you have, either stored on a pen drive, stored in your OneDrive, stored elsewhere within Teams. It doesn't really matter. It's easy how to pull all of that across. What we're going to look at the minute is, imagine if we're creating this from scratch. So into my team, there's nothing there. What I can choose is the plus button here to add a resource, or I can add a resource simply by clicking it down here. What I do instantly is get the pop-up that lets me see the different type of things that we want. So down at the very bottom here, we've got the option of a channel. So essentially what the channels do in Teams, if I were to click on it, it is a little bit of a message board, so where I can post stuff that is directly related to this topic to students, and then they have the option underneath that they can reply to me if they want. So what I want to do is keep that in one clear, concise place. So what I'm going to do is hit the plus. I'm going to choose a channel, and then within this team, it tells me or gives me the option of pick whatever channel I want. Since it's the topic of Shamrock, where I live, I'll tick it, that. I'll choose attach, and that channel is instantly built in. The benefit of it seeing here, although it's a lot more user-friendly on a computer, if we were to do this in the app, the students would have a much more restricted view. So if it was on their phones, for example, what they would have to do is leave classwork, go all the way down to find the different channel, and then click on the channel. The benefit of seeing this within classwork now is if the students open up classwork, built into this area of classwork is Shamrock, that channel feed, and they tap on that and it will instantly open. So this is the real plus of it, that everything is readily available with one click. They know they're in the unit of Shamrock, and then they can click on the different items available to them. Other things that I can add in, I'm going to do this completely from scratch. So what I've got is the different file types that I can add in. I can pick up ones that are existing on my device at the minute. I can add in things directly from OneDrive or things from this team or indeed other teams that I've used before. Or if it's my preference, I can do a complete brand new file from scratch. And whenever you're adding this in, it is as easy as that. You find the blank document and it will create a blank document of any one of these first three for you without any issues. What's slightly more complicated, and I'll maybe save it towards the end for anyone that has been using the class notebook. What class notebook basically is, for those of you not familiar, it's almost like a ring binder, which is separate to Teams. It's basically you have within it, OneNote is a ring binder. You can create a different section, which would be your file dividers. And then within each essentially section or file divider, you've got your individual page that you can add in. For this point, I'm not going to be able to do it because I've created a OneNote class notebook that will go with this class. I will show you how it looks with the class that I have running up at the moment. But class notebook, the only way that you can add in a page is if you have already created a class notebook for your classes. If you have any specific questions about that, we can touch on that in more detail towards the end. Other good features of a blank file, I'm going to show you one example of that I did in a moment, is that you can add in a whiteboard. Essentially, it's a doodle board, but you can use that to kind of bring different ideas together. So if I want to trial a new whiteboard like this, I'll just call it something random sample. Automatically builds it into me, and then what it will do, it will create a blank whiteboard just like this. So I can choose to write a prompt. I can choose to write a comment, and then say if there are different things that I'd like the students maybe to comment on, I just add this. Here, I'll post that comment, and then down below, I can have the students, if they just want to do a little bit of a check-in here, they can just reply as a full message feed. Alternatively, what you could do is create sort of comments all around it. You have maybe the idea of a spider diagram in the middle, and then students can add their postings or their own perspective around this, and you can create as many whiteboards for this as you wish. Just a little bit of a collaborative feature, which doesn't require too much effort. You generally just create the whiteboard, put your prompt somewhere on this page, and let the students loose. The only thing I would maybe advise is a little bit of training on etiquette on this, so that they're not posting on top of anyone else's comments, just so it looks a little bit neater and a bit more presentable. With regards to deleting other students' work, that can't be done. The only person that can delete comments is you, or delete a thread as the teacher, you can do that, or the student who has made their own comment, they can choose delete it, or they can edit it. There is no way that they can delete other students' comments, as long as they're set as a student, not as a teacher, I should say, in the class. All right, another cool feature that you could maybe want to add in is this idea of creating a brand new file. And what you might want to do is create a welcome message. So you can pre-record a video and add it in as a link, or add it in as a separate file. Or if you want, short and sweet, you can simply add in your own video recording. And of course, yeah, blow a moment. Can't do it because I've already got the camera in use. To give you an example of it, I'll actually jump up to one previously that I did earlier on. Here, that was just recorded live within Teams. Something like this. So it's available for all students. They can click on it, and it's just a short and sweet message to introduce the topic. Not 100% sure you would have been able to see or hear all of that. Hopefully you did, but it's as simple as that. That was just built within Teams. That was literally me just choosing that file and then choosing a new file that's a video recording. If you're not happy with how it went, you can just choose to re-record as many times as you want. So it's not a case of you record, then you have to start from scratch each time. So hopefully it's letting you see it is just as easy to add in all of these links, some of our core files. If you want to add in, I can choose a brand new file. And then, like I said, a Microsoft Word document. I'll give it a title. Create that. And then what it's going to do is create for me a blank Word document. Fully editable, things that I can run that way. So if that's suitable for you, that is it. If you don't like editing or working on this within Teams, there is an option here that will choose editing. Simply your drop down, you choose to open in your desktop app, and that will open it in the Word itself, giving you full capabilities here. Whereas in Teams, you've got most access, but it's a little bit restrictive. You can see how restrictive it is because just the font alone is reduced of what you can access. Yeah, so that's the overview of just how you create from scratch. If you want to add in documents that are already in existence, what you can do is choose that, and then you can choose a file that you're going to include. Either upload from this device. If it's on your Surface Pro, you likely already have OneDrive readily available. I'm going to click OneDrive just separately, and it will open up OneDrive within this. So if I scroll the whole way down and try and find it, let's get it in order. So I'll pick, sorry about that. A little bit slower. And then if I pick a random booklet that we're running through, this is for my Year 8 class. I go in here, and what I can do is scroll down and find a document or a file that I'm looking to import. The one, say, for this unit would be là où j'habite, where I live. I'm choosing attach, and it automatically builds it in. Personally, find that still a little bit clunky. So you've got an alternative. There is much easier way of doing it. What you can do is, if you've got your documents folder open, if you've got a pen drive open, if you've got your OneDrive folder open, what you can actually just do, which is a brilliant add-in, is drag and drop. So here is the document right here. What I'm going to do, say if I've saved it as a PDF, it's not the right document, but I'll drag it across. I genuinely left click, drag it in, and all of a sudden it's dragged and dropped. So it's much quicker, less hunting, less searching going on. It is just a quick way that you can build all of these different things in. And like I said, there is no real limit to what you can embed. It's up to you. You can completely personalize this and customize to what suits you. Either adding it with the plus button, you can choose your files, or you can drag and drop. The files can be created from brand new or ones that are already in existence. A good add-in as well, and this is for recreation for future years, is that you can add in an assignment that I've got here. So I'm going to choose my option down here, and the option is I can add an assignment. This assignment can be picked up from one already existing within this class. I can add an assignment that's brand new. I can choose to add a quick impromptu quiz, or I can create from one that is existing, as in it's adding this, but from a different class. So we'll find one randomly that I have it going. Let's pick one from, yeah, Year 8 French. We scroll down, and there's one for that. And I choose to reuse the assignment. It'll open up, give me full editing rights for what I want to say. And there, that's it. So the handy thing is that is a homework task that I've already sitting ready. I don't need to worry about adding in any of the links, any of the audio files again. It's already set and ready to go. I'll turn on reflect. So let my students comment on what they thought about the homework, how they thought it went well. And then you can either choose to assign it. That assigning it basically means it's live right then and there. You choose the drop-down menu in your homework. I can choose to assign in the future. But because this class is going to be used more next year, I'm just going to save it as a draft. Like everything else and saving it in that draft, essentially it just means that it's sitting here waiting for when I decide to activate it. And there's we look, there's all my files in order. At the minute, because I put it together quite haphazardly, I'm not happy with how it looks. So I want to start off with my sample whiteboard for a bit of thought. Then I'm going to drag this up here to get my booklets in order. And then the next thing they might do will be, let's try this assignment. So everything easily built into one place. Don't know, Donna, if anyone's got any questions or any things they want to run through at the minute before I leave this for a minute and actually see one class that I've live at the minute.
All good at the minute. Thank you, Graeme. Just had a question about whether it was recorded or not, which of course the session is. And we just have one person who wasn't able to see the screen, but maybe if they would drop me a message to see if what I suggested had helped them. But just if anybody's any difficulty at all during the session, you will receive a link to the recording tomorrow. Okay, back over to you then, Graeme.
Appreciate it, Don. Thank you. All right, so if you want to see something that is running live at the minute, it's with my, yes, this is the right one, my GCSE Spanish class. So what I've built in here at the moment is just this. Like I said, I've only really been running this for about 4 or 5 weeks. But the use and convenience of this is that I'm able to kind of get materials and documents out to them a lot more easily. So for example, there is right at the very top, I've got the past papers. So the handy thing now, it seems to be something that only has been introduced since Christmas or maybe in December, is that whereas before, this is linking into a OneNote, it used to be only pages that you can add in. A real plus now is that actually you can add in an entire section of a OneNote. So for example, here is the new spec listening for CCEA. Like I said, everyone was seen before, you just click on it and it opens it within Teams. So there are the past papers that have been sort of embedded into Teams there. It's in a full section, so there they've got the current GCSE specification added in there, broken into higher foundation. All of the papers uploaded, just pasted in there so that the students can work through. Audio file built into it as well. And then if I scroll further down, they've got the answers in the transcript there just to help them with their revision. Doesn't only need to be that. I've got another section here that's live, which would be revision support. So we've got their spoken exam date and the times for them outlined. And I've got at the minute our different study books with the answers there. So again, the students can click on it, they can open it and allow them to access a digital copy. They can either download it or complete it online. A few other links there as well to help them revise, all external. If I'm not happy with the order at the minute, we're going to maybe be working on one topic in particular. I can maybe drag this up to the very top. That's our area at the moment. And then within this, for me and for students, click on the 3 dots on the right-hand side, the little ellipsis, I can open it in Word, as in it down gives me full access. I can open in Word online, or I can download it just to a file or a folder. Even though I've now published this, so the word draft has disappeared, unlike it is up above. This is now live for all of my students to see. When I'm adding this in, I can still make full changes to it if I want. I can edit the phrasing, I can edit the name, I can edit the description, I can send it as a link, every other things. What we hadn't seen up until this point is how we can prioritize certain modules. Yes, I can drag and drop not only the files, but the actual modules themselves. What I can do is I can pin a module. So what that will do, it will prioritize and it will pin it right up to the very top. So if that's the thing that is most important for the moment, I can pin it directly to the top. And for ease of access for the students, they will see everything. It's the first thing that they come across. If I move on to a different module, I've got a different priority. I simply unpin that module and I scroll down and I find something we're working towards our spoken exam now at the minute. I'm going to pin that to the top instead. So it's free reign to kind of pick and choose. You adapt and you customize this to however you want, basically.
Just a couple of questions here at the moment, and they are linked, if you don't mind, Graeme. First of all, we were asked if students can make changes to any of the work while in classwork. So the resources that you're uploading for guidance, do the students have edit access to that? And then the second question, just to lead on from that, is how do you decide what to put in as classwork as opposed to uploading as files in channels? Can you make folders and sections within modules, or will it just be a list of every item uploaded into it? I know you're probably going to cover the latter of that question in a while. So it's really just a little word here about permissions at the minute. We know that when you put things into the files area in a class team, if you don't put it into the classwork folder, students would have full access to edit. So how does that compare within classwork then?
It should be uploading. It seems from our working through it anyway, it is read only.
Yeah.
The students there. The only thing I haven't really checked with that is if you're pulling across a file, for example, a Word document from your own OneDrive documents, it may depend on your permissions that you've got set there. So typically, as a default, you're the only person that will have access to that document unless you decide to allow access to somebody else, but you have to give them that access. So if you decide to allow students, as in typically you can allow two different types of access. One will be viewing, which is what we've got here. It's read only. If they want to edit it, they have to save it to their own area. Or they have to download it to their own files. For example, as I've said here, this is how it works in OneNote. Within OneNote, it is in the content library, and that can't be edited the way I've got it set up. So what the students need to do, they need to copy or drag that page from my area in the shared files into their own personal area. And once they do that, they've got full editing rights. It's the same with Microsoft Word document. When it's uploaded, if they're a member of that team, they will instantly get viewing rights to it, but it will only be viewing rights. Now, if you go into the document and you give them editing rights, then they will have editing rights, and what they can do with that is completely change around everything, even delete the file. But by default, from my experience of it anyway, it's that they only get viewing rights, and that's it. It's read only.
Yes, within the classwork, whereas if you've got multiple channels, so for example, some of your channels there, within the general channel, you've got the classwork materials folder, and anything that's uploaded into a team and is uploaded to that area is always read only for the students. However, if you upload a file into any other channel or outside of the class materials, even as Graeme said, if that file started off in your OneDrive with view-only access, if you upload into a channel and not classwork materials, you're actually uploading a copy of that file, and that file, the student does have full edit access to it. So this is why I think it's one of the reasons why I like classwork, and it's probably one of the reasons why you like it as well, Graeme.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
hopefully that answers both questions there. All right, come back to us in the chat if there's anything more.
Yeah, well, the second one was following on, as in, is it possible to take these and break them down into subfolders? No, it's not. And I'm going to be honest, I can't see that happening from Microsoft. The reason being is that this is for ease of access. It's meant to be quick and easy. It's a kind of one-stop shop for all of your curriculum resources. What kind of would be counterintuitive, well, from Microsoft, from speaking with them and following stuff on the forums, it would be a little counterintuitive if you had one big overviewing folder, and then within that multiple different folders, and then folders within that again. It kind of takes away from what they're trying to do in classwork here, because it makes it a little bit too clunky. The example, if you go back, a rough idea what I'm trying to do is, you can see the way that I've broken it down here for year 8. I've already got my folder set up as subsections, so it's 8.1, 8.2. If you've got an overall unit that you want to look at, trying to even think of an example, say if it is like with my A-level French class, we would do like France during the Second World War. I wouldn't create a single folder for France during World War II. I would designate that 1.1 would be the pre-war period. Then moving on to whenever war broke out. And then it would be what was daily life like. I will then do a separate folder about the French resistance. I'll just break it down into those subfolders to make it a little bit more manageable. It's just a lot easier to view. And I'm going to show you that now. Hopefully you'll be able to see the video of how this will look from a student's point of view. Like at the minute, we've got everything viewed here on a computer. You've got the full range of access. So it's reasonably straightforward to jump between the home page into classwork and then down into the main channels. But if you were opening this on a mobile phone or on a tablet app, you don't get as much stuff in front of you. It's much more directly focused. It's a little bit blinkered for what you're seeing. So I'm going to show you just from a student's point of view, or me as a teacher, how this will typically look. So here it is, just me and my files. About to click on the Teams link and just show how quick and easy it is to access for my GCSE class. So we'll open up Teams. I go to the specific GCSE class. I tap on the classwork tab, and then what it does, it brings me all of the live files. Draft, I can see because I'm a teacher. All of the others, it's free for everyone to see. So like I did before, I open up my specification, I open up the area, and I've got just in list view that. As soon as I tap on this, whatever file, whatever folder it is, it will open it within the Teams app. There's just an example there, and that's how it looks. If I wish, what I can do is then to choose to open that within its original format. So if it's a Word document, for example, I can view it within Teams, or if I want more functionality, I would just tap the little three dots and choose to open up within Microsoft Word, and then it will just pull it out of Teams and allow you to use it in Microsoft Word. But it's like the idea is it's just meant to be ease of access for students. The benefit for us is that it will be something that you can reuse and reuse again. Like I said, once you've created this once, so once I go to the effort of having this all built, that means that I can reuse this for any number of classes. I can reuse this for any number of years going forward. I always run this just so that I've got a core place to start it from. I always create a master, and then from this master, I will create a brand new team. So this is where all of my core information is going to go. Anything else, if I create a new team, I'll just be able to reuse it from here. And it's as simple as what we saw down below, add module. Before we created one from new, what I can do is reuse from existing. So if I tap reuse from existing, I'll go down, I'll choose a real random team. I'll go down and choose my current GCSE Spanish. I'll click on that and then I'll hit next. The awesome thing is that it's not one module at a time. What I can do is pick and choose my modules, or even better, I can click all of my modules. So what that will allow me to do is pretty much bring everything across and reusing it instantaneously. The only one thing that I'm not able to bring across, and you'll see in a minute when I do this prompt, reuse modules, is I will get a warning and saying anything that's linked to the class notebook cannot be brought across. The reason being that anything that you create inside a class notebook is specific for that team you've created. So if you want to reuse modules, I can drag everything across. It'll all come across, no problem. But I'm going to have to go back and individually pull across or add in the class notebook files from that individual class, because each class notebook that you create is personal to that actual class there. I make it a little bit easier. Like before, I've got this master team that I'm going to use for year 8. I also have a master class notebook that I have for year 8. So then it is whenever I create this brand new team, I will create a brand new class notebook. And like you can see here, I can reuse these modules. When I'm creating a class notebook, I can actually recreate one that I've got before. For me, what works best is just to have all of these masters sitting ready. So it is literally just a copy and paste. And I know if it says master, it's not going to be edited. It will always change. Any changes I want to make will be my changes. So why not? I'll go ahead and create it. So it'll bring all of these modules. So it says copying across 5 modules from GCSE Spanish into here, and it is as quick as that. That is them all built in. The good news is, if you build it in from any other module, it automatically becomes a draft. And then what that means is I can go in and change it. Unlike before, you can see there's no resources yet. The reason being is that all of my resources were from OneNote, which can't be pulled across. But anything else apart from that, You can see all of the files are built in here. There's my revision support. All of my files are included here. The only downside is that OneNote or class notebook stuff can't be pulled across because it is specific to this exact class. Final thing I'm going to run through, and sadly, it's not something that I can show you because it's not ready yet. What is on the cards is actually AI tied in, I assume, with Copilot, is that whenever you choose to add module and you create a new module, same way that I get the pop-up here, before I get all of these pop-ups, what's going to appear is you'll get a little bit of an AI prompter. And what that AI prompt is going to essentially do, it's going to ask you what year group, what age group is it for, what subject is it for, and it asks you or gives you the space to input a little bit of a prompt. So in those prompts, you can say, oh, I'm doing it for year 8 French. The age range would be 11 to 12-year-olds, and a quick paste of what the different topics that we're going to cover. What it will then do is, using the wonderful power of AI, it will automate that. So it will give you suggestions, as in it will auto-create, rather than me having to do an add module and create them individually. If I give it those additional prompts and say, here are my modules, it will automatically create all of these modules for me. Even more than that is what it can do is create or give you suggested content to include. The main thing with that would be, it's not here, but in assignments, it can give you suggestions that you may want to include in assignments. So for example, you would give an assignment heading, and then in the content, it will give you a series of options that you can pick and choose or disregard. It seems to be as well, what you'll be able to do is pick and choose it, but then critique it a little bit and say, oh, that's not detailed enough. That side of it's really good. This side of it's not so good. And it will edit it and it will amend it to you. So some of the more kind of laborious admin tasks of creating this is that as long as you have an idea of what the headings are, you can just say, I'm looking for these different modules for my year 8 French class. And what it will do, it will automatically create these for me. It won't require me to add a module, type in the text. It will automatically build it for me. It will, even more than that, give me a suggested prompt of what I could add in here as in the description of that module. And then, like I said, it'll give you maybe suggested content that you can include.